Hello and welcome once again to Voice of Africa. Today we turn our focus to Burkina Faso, a nation that, despite facing years of violent insurgency, is rewriting its destiny through resilience, reform, and an unwavering fight for peace and sovereignty. Since September 2022, under the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré and the MPSR-2, Burkina Faso has embarked on a historic transformation, one rooted not only in military strength, but in national pride, unity, and a collective determination to reclaim every inch of its land from terror. From the very first days of his leadership, Captain Traoré made it clear that his administration would not rest until Burkina Faso was safe and sovereign again. He initiated deep reforms across the armed forces, reorganized military structures, and launched a massive program to re-equip and expand the defense forces. These measures were not just bureaucratic changes. They were the beginning of a new era where Burkinabè citizens, soldiers, and volunteers stood shoulder to shoulder in the name of freedom. In just a short period, the results of these efforts began to show. Areas once dominated by armed groups started to return to government control. Communities that had fled their homes for years were able to come back, rebuild, and live again in dignity. The government's investments in defense, worth hundreds of billions of CFA francs, signaled one message loud and clear. Burkina Faso was rising, stronger and more determined than ever. Captain Traoré came to power not as a politician, but as a soldier of conviction. His leadership style has been described as bold, disciplined, and unyielding. He told his forces, "To have peace, you must fight for it." And that became the battle cry of a nation determined to reclaim its future. From the northern deserts to the southern plains, Burkinabè troops launched coordinated operations to chase down and dismantle terrorist networks that had long tormented the population. Gone were the days of waiting for help or relying on outside powers. This was a war led by Burkinabè for Burkinabè. By December 2022, just months after Traoré's arrival, the army began receiving new armored vehicles, symbols of a rapidly modernizing force. Each delivery came with a message of resolve from the presidency. This was not merely about fighting, it was about survival, dignity, and sovereignty. The momentum continued through 2023 and 2024, as successive waves of reinforcements arrived. Tanks, combat vehicles, heavy weapons, and ammunition were supplied to the armed forces. In January 2024, under a new strategic equipment plan, the Ministry of Defense received an extensive shipment of vehicles and combat materials. In April, more advanced equipment followed, and by June, military engineering machinery had arrived, much of it financed through the Patriotic Support Fund, a fund powered by citizen contributions. What makes this transformation particularly powerful is that it is driven by the people themselves. Burkinabè citizens are not bystanders in this struggle. They are its financiers, its moral supporters, and, in many cases, its frontline fighters. On December 23, 2024, Captain Traoré personally handed over another batch of military equipment, calling it a gift from the people to their army. He encouraged the soldiers to see it as a year-end offering from the nation, a sign of unity and trust. By October 2025, yet another delivery of heavy combat machinery was made, further boosting the morale and capability of the defense forces. The Burkinabè Air Force, too, has seen remarkable development. New combat helicopters and troop transport aircraft have joined the fleet. In 2024, the country acquired a dozen state-of-the-art armed drones, capable of operating in all weather conditions, day or night. These advanced aerial assets, designed in partnership with Turkish manufacturers, have transformed Burkina Faso's ability to conduct reconnaissance and precision strikes. Observers describe the partnership as transparent, sincere, and rooted in mutual respect, a model of cooperation that reflects the country's new approach to international engagement. But modernization has not stopped at equipment. One of the most important reforms under Captain Traoré has been the reorganization of the national defense structure. In November 2022, the government established 6 military regions, 6 gendarmerie legions, and 6 operational groupings, doubling the structure that existed before. This new arrangement ensures that every region of Burkina Faso has a strong, coordinated security presence ready to respond swiftly to threats. At the same time, recruitment has soared. In October 2022, an unprecedented national campaign was launched to enlist 50,000 volunteers for the defense of the homeland, known as the VDP. From farmers to students, from artisans to teachers, thousands of ordinary Burkinabè men and women stepped forward to defend their land. These volunteers now work side by side with professional soldiers, police, and gendarmes in what has become one of the most unified national defense efforts in modern African history. By 2024 alone, over 15,000 new fighters joined the ranks. The government also strengthened the Sibir units, rapid intervention brigades known for their agility and bravery, expanding them to about 30 active units across the country. The National Gendarmerie, police, forest guards, and even prison security forces have been mobilized as part of a comprehensive total defense approach, leaving no institution behind. The impact has been extraordinary. Across the nation, large-scale military operations have reclaimed territory, liberated communities, and restored hope. One such operation, called FAO, freed 15 towns in the Bangoise region, including the provincial capital of Selinzo. During the celebrations that followed, Captain Traoré addressed the nation directly, standing proudly among the liberated people. He praised the courage of the soldiers and volunteers, calling their efforts the heartbeat of Burkina Faso's rebirth. Many other operations have since followed: Kapitgau, Kafali, Hurricane, and Green Whirlwind, to name a few. Each has struck a decisive blow against the terrorist networks, neutralizing hundreds of fighters and reopening vital routes that had been blocked for years. In one area, civilians who had lived under siege for 4 long years were finally able to breathe the air of freedom. In others, farmers have returned to their fields, schools have reopened, and life has begun again. These victories are not without sacrifice. The missions are dangerous and demanding, often carried out under extreme conditions. Yet the spirit of resistance remains unbroken. Soldiers and volunteers alike are driven by a shared sense of purpose, the defense of their homeland. Their courage has become a symbol for the entire continent, reminding all of Africa that security and sovereignty are not gifts to be given, but rights to be defended. The success of these operations has been accompanied by the constant delivery of supplies and humanitarian aid to the recovered regions. Even as the fighting continues, the government ensures that families in newly liberated zones receive food, medicine, and basic necessities. This combination of military effort and social rebuilding is restoring both the land and the hearts of its people. Today, estimates suggest that around 72% of Burkina Faso's previously occupied territories have been recovered. Entire villages that once stood empty are now re-inhabited. Children are returning to classrooms, markets are reopening, and communities are rebuilding their mosques, churches, and homes. The sound of gunfire in many areas has been replaced by the sound of construction, a powerful sign of national renewal. What makes Burkina Faso's story so inspiring is that it is not a story of dependence or victimhood. It is a story of self-reliance, determination, and national dignity. The people themselves are funding their own defense through the Patriotic Support Fund, proving that when a nation stands united behind its army, no challenge is insurmountable. This movement has also strengthened the bond between the government and its citizens. Captain Traoré's administration continues to emphasize transparency, accountability, and the protection of civilians in all operations. The message from the leadership is clear. This war is not merely about defeating terrorism. It is about restoring peace, protecting the nation's integrity, and reclaiming Burkina Faso's rightful place as a free and sovereign state. The progress made since 2022 reflects a deeper awakening across the Sahel, a realization that Africa's future must be built by Africans themselves. In Burkina Faso, that vision is being forged in the dust and courage of its people, in the roar of its aircraft, and in the determination of its soldiers who rise each day to defend the land they love. The Burkinabè people know that the road ahead is long and difficult, but they also know that victory belongs to those who never give up. Their story reminds the world that true independence is not declared. It is earned, defended, and sustained through unity, discipline, and sacrifice. From the northern front line to the southern villages, Burkina Faso stands today not as a nation in despair, but as a nation in motion, rebuilding, reorganizing, and rising. Its struggle has become a beacon of African resilience and an example to every country fighting for peace, security, and self-determination. As the voice of Africa, we salute the courage of the Burkinabè people, the soldiers, the volunteers, the mothers and fathers who have chosen to fight not only for survival, but for dignity. Their efforts are writing a new chapter in African history, one that tells the world that Africa's freedom will be guarded, preserved, and advanced by Africans themselves. Thank you for watching Voice of Africa. If you believe in the spirit of African unity, resilience, and progress, make sure to like this video so YouTube can recommend it to more people. Subscribe and join us as we continue to share the stories that define our continent. Stories of courage, renewal, and the unstoppable rise of Africa.